In this video, I'm gonna give you my review on the Tamron 150-500mm telephoto lens. I've been wanting to use and make a review of this lens for a while now, so I want to say a huge thank you for Focus Nordic for letting me borrow this lens and make a review of it. Focus Nordic is the distributor for Tamron here in Finland, so I feel super privileged to have been able to work with them for over a year now. Not only is this lens fantastic for taking photos of wildlife and sports, it's also a great lens for video. On the lens we've got several switches for different functions. There's the focus limiter, we've got the manual focus, autofocus toggle, VC on and off, and VC mode 1, 2, and 3. The VC in the lens stands for vibration compensation, which essentially means image stabilization inside the lens, which is great to have. Now, here's the thing that makes the VC so great. It's got up to 4 stops of stabilization, which enables you to get stable footage handheld, and it also allows you to take photos in low light situation by letting more light into the sensor by slowing down your shutter speed and still get sharp photos. We also did some autofocus tests with the lens, and when we did this test where I walked towards the camera with the lens zoomed all the way up to 500mm, it still kept the focus on my face perfectly without any problems. And we also did this autofocus test where Tia stood up and got into the frame, and the autofocus worked very well. The only thing that I noticed was that when the lens was zoomed to 500mm and Tia stood up and came into the frame, the autofocus was a little bit slow, but that's quite understandable because it was zoomed all the way to 500mm and Tia was very close to the camera. I also love the fact that the lens seems to have a fairly close minimum focusing distance, because even at the 500mm telephoto end, we were able to get an extreme close-up of Tia's eyes perfectly in focus. The lens of course comes also with this lens color, which you can actually remove if you don't like it, but I personally prefer to use it and keep it there because it makes it just so much easier to attach this on a tripod when you have the lens color on. And the good thing about the lens color is that it has an Arca Swiss compatible tripod mount, which basically means that you can just slide the lens in to a monopod, tripod, and so on that is Arca Swiss compatible, so that's great. I gotta say, at first I was a little bit confused about what this is. But then I found out that it's the flex lock mechanism that allows you to lock the zoom at any position when the barrel is extended. Like many Tamron lenses, this too is moisture resistant. And price. Let's talk about the price of this lens. Just a moment. My apologies, I'm gonna have to check once again my notes from my phone because I'm terrible with numbers. So, let's start with the closest competitor of this lens, which in my opinion is the Sony 200-600mm G Master, which cost $1,998 US, and it weighs 2,115 grams. And when we compare it to the Tamron 150-500mm F5 lens, this lens costs $1,399 and it weighs only 1,725 grams, which is quite a difference. Now, I'm personally not a wildlife photographer or sports photographer because I'm a filmmaker first, but we did get some cool photos at the Helsinki Korkeasaari Zoo. So here's some examples. Okay, so what are my final thoughts about this lens? Well, first of all, it's got a great autofocus for both photos and video, and it's an astoundingly compact lens for a 500mm ultra telephoto lens. It's more lightweight than its competitor, and it's got an affordable price of $1,399, and it's got an amazing image quality with sharp footage. Okay, so what are the things that I don't like about this lens? Well, first of all, I really don't like the fact that it's got an 82mm filter thread, and I know 82 is quite common on full frame lenses, but all of my other Tamron lenses have a filter thread of 67mm, which means that I can use the same ND filter on all of those lenses. And it's probably not a big deal, it's just me. Also, I really don't like the flex lock. I just feel it's like kind of gimmicky. I wanted to let you know that even though the stabilization in this lens is amazing, it's not quite as good as on the more expensive Sony lenses based on the research that I did. But if you're in the market for an ultra telephoto lens and you're on a budget, then I believe that this might be the best option for you. And I can highly recommend this lens because I've really enjoyed using it. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more, I highly recommend that you watch either one of these videos somewhere here on the screen because I think you're gonna find it helpful as well. Okay, thanks for watching and I'll see you again in the next video. Take care.